Okay, everyone, we're going to talk about Lil Wyte, and we're going to talk about his urban classic album, Doubt Me Now. So this album came out in 2003, and it was at a certain point where 3 6 Mafia kind of really started getting off the ground. And it's a good look for them just because they were doing new things, and it's pretty good. Just the fact that they were able to put someone on, and especially considering he's like a people person, seems as if like these records were meant for going out and having smoke sessions, which is a good thing. You think these songs are pretty much just go wherever the crowd of smokers are and you've got a good time. It's a pretty good party album. It's a good backyard album, and it's a great one for um just toking. That's something that there's certain albums that you can tell are made for that, and then there's ones that aren't, but I can still recommend them to you. This is one that you don't have to necessarily know to smoke to it. It's automatically one. And on top of that, like, this album was not like a huge commercial success. I'm pretty sure like the people that are first listening to rap, this may not be one of the first ones they go to, but it's one that made waves, and it did so in a kind of low key way to where people heard it, but they just didn't talk about it as intensely. So really, this is a drugged out album. It's really slinky, and it just happens to be kind of, you know, it's lazy, it's hazy, just all sorts of stuff that's going to be a relatively good feeling. And it's a good look for 3 6 Mafia. They nailed it too. And the series of albums that followed this just were great. I've reviewed one already. So you can smoke to this. There's 18 songs on this record, and a few of the ones I would recommend smoking to would be We Ain't Playing, Get High to This, Crash the Club Remix, Oxycontin, and In Here possibly, and what else? Drop It Off, Homicidal, Suicidal. These are some ones to smoke to. The production, it's kind of all over the place. It's not as full it's not as full force of an album as some of the other stuff I've reviewed, but it's still pretty good. I mean, it felt like the production was paid attention to, but it just has a different sound that I can't describe. Like, I wouldn't know what to say. Like, the way that he chose the beats on this album, is the fact that it's not ones that I would have chose. That's just, if I were to do that, it's not something that I would have said, well, that's how I would have put it together, which makes it just weird to describe because you can't tell what he's going for. Is he going for kind of a creeping album? Is he going for like a kind of just dark album? It's difficult to figure out what that would be, but a few of the ones I liked, I did like We Ain't Playing, Blame It on the Bay, Oxycontin, Crash the Club, 10 Toes Tall, some of those. So the unheard songs, out of 18 songs, I liked 9 out of 18 of them. Now, you would think that that is not good, but considering the size of it, this is actually pretty good because there's been, some things I've listened to that haven't even nailed, certain ones. So yeah, there's 9, but there's also 3 almost songs, which I was kind of on the fence about, but I might end up liking. Sometimes when you listen to an album, you don't like every song immediately, and it takes weeks and sometimes months to admit that you like the song. So that's almost songs. There were 3 of them, and that would bring it up to 12 out of 18 if I liked it. But we'll talk about the songs that I didn't quite like. I know You Strapped was one that I did like, but I wasn't quite feeling the whole way once the song got slowed down, and if the way it would have been kept for like the first minute and a half, I probably would have liked it more. My Smoking Song is not a good smoking song. That one didn't work out that well. Zero Tolerance was too short. Acid didn't have a good beat, and that's about pretty much all that's left. There's only like a handful of other songs. I'm just gonna say the reason for those is just because I didn't like the instrumentals on them. But really, I want to say that most of the complaints on this album are actually pretty petty, just because the way that he nails it just is a good introduction to that sort of thing. It's not necessarily a game-changing album, but it's one once you started living that way for a while, it's something that you're going to like more and more. And so that, you need albums like that. It's hard to describe, but guarantee, like, when you smoke and you're just chilling, it's middle of June, middle of May, middle of July, that these are the type of things that you're going to be going out to every single day. And that's good. It just has the replayability a little bit more than a pop album would. So kind of the thing, but it's not a game changing. This isn't the album that's going to get you hooked on that lifestyle. I'd pretty much say Tech Nine would be a better one to do that. But there were some close ones like Oxycontin that could have done it, but it just needed more of those like instant hit songs like that song. So, but these are the 9 songs I like. Blame It on the Bay, We Ain't Playing, Good Dope, Oxycontin, In the Streets, Drop It Off, Crash the Club Remix, Homicidal, Suicidal, and Get High to This. Now, I will say that these songs, they do they're, it gets real. So that's the only thing you have to remember. But the almost songs were In Here, Play Is in the Atmosphere, and 10 Toes Tall. All of these, it just depends. I may like them more in the future, but that was where it was. So I recommend this album, and I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 out of 10, just because 12 out of 18 would have made it like a 7.5 to an 8, but I just don't know. So I guess I'll give it I don't want to give it a 7 just because 9 out of 18 is not that spectacular. So I'm just gonna give it a 6.5, and if I end up liking those 3 songs, just consider it like a 7.5. That's about 3/4 of the album. Was actually 2/3 of the album is 12 out of 18. So the future, Lil Wyte's around, and he's dropped more than 4 or 5 albums, so you've got plenty of stuff from him. And the social score, now I'm going to give this like a fairly solid social score, just because this is something that I feel like it's going to be one of the ones people turn to first. It just got that appeal. It's like I said, it's a day-to-day smoking album, which is something that you'll probably a lot of people will be looking for, and it's one of the ones to turn to. But the thing is it just does not have like those instant classic songs. Like they're ones that you're gonna have to listen to a few times to admit that they're actually good. So, but the production is great and the songs actually are good. So I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 social. And can it be topped? I think it can. And once again, just go for the Lil Wyte album, The One and Only. So look out for that one. But yeah, I give this album a 6.5, 6.5 social. Subscribe for more fun.